7.106,569. The question that must inevitably follow is whether this formula, when applied, will confirm that 7,106,569 votes is less than 7.176,141, which represents the number of votes received by the first respondent. We find that it is, as such, on the basis of the foregoing formula and from the numbers provided by IEBC and the chairperson and the declaration by the chairperson of the President-elect on 15th August 2022, it is our finding that the declared President-elect attained 50% plus 1 of all the votes cast in accordance with Article 138(4) of the Constitution. Issue number 8, on whether there were irregularities and illegalities of such magnitude as to affect the final result of the presidential election. Although the petitioners have provided numerous averments pointing to possible irregularities and illegalities marked by failure of technology, arranged voter suppression, printing and utilization of Book 2 of 2, EU preparation by the IEBC and its chairperson, commission indiscretions, transposition anomalies, agent absence, and many others, we are of the view that the pointed illegalities and irregularities were not of such magnitude as to affect the final result of the presidential election. We will delve deeper into the details of this issue in our recent judgments. Last issue, what reliefs and orders can the court grant? Under Article 163(3) of the Constitution, it is provided that the Supreme Court will have A, exclusive original jurisdiction to hear and determine disputes relating to the election of the office of the President arising under Article 140. And Article 140 provides, I quote, a person may file a petition in the Supreme Court to challenge the election of the President-elect within 7 days after the date of the declaration of the results of the presidential election. 2, within 14 days after the filing of a petition under Clause 1, the Supreme Court shall hear and determine the petition, and its decision shall be final. If the Supreme Court determines the election of the President-elect to be invalid, a fresh election shall be held within 60 days after the determination. In exercising its jurisdiction pursuant to these provisions, the court sits as an election court with a mandate to determine the validity or otherwise of the election of the President-elect. It is clear to us that the jurisdiction of the court is quite circumscribed in terms of the orders or reliefs it can grant following the hearing and determination of the election petition under Article 140 of the Constitution. In the event the court determines that the election of the President-elect is invalid, it must make an order nullifying the election. Consequently, it has also to make an order directing IEBC to hold a fresh election within 60 days after the determination. Should the court determine that the election of the President-elect is valid, it shall issue a declaration to that effect. The court has then, as a matter of course, to make an order dismissing the petition with or without cost, as the case may be. In the strict sense, therefore, these are the only orders that the court may make under the Constitution. The court cannot assume jurisdiction that goes beyond the purview of Articles 163(3) and 140 of the Constitution. However, nothing stops the court from issuing orders or reliefs by way of recommendations. Indeed, since 2013, This court has issued many recommendations arising from the determination of 3 petitions challenging the election of the president-elect. The recommendations are meant to improve our electoral landscape and hence aid in the development of our democracy. In this regard, this court has been greatly aided by the contributions also of the amici curiae, and the court places a heavy premium on those briefs that were filed and those which were admitted. The final orders made by the courts. This is a unanimous decision of the court, and we make the following orders. 1, the presidential election petition number E005 of 2022 as consolidated with the presidential election petition numbers E001, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8 of 2022 are hereby dismissed. As a consequence, we declare the election of the first respondent as president-elect to be varied under Article 143 of the Constitution. This being a matter cutting across the public interest, we order that each party do bear their own costs. It is so ordered. And finally, the court has asked me to also acknowledge, although we'll do it in the long draft, the enormous contribution made by counsel in these proceedings, and also the orderly way the counsel, all the advocates and parties conducted themselves. They remained seated throughout the proceedings. That is the judgment of the court, a unanimous one. We shall issue a media summary to help the media summarize the case. I think that is all. Thank you very much for coming.
My Lady, Madam Chief Justice, and the learned judges of this court, again, I am requested by my colleagues to thank you most profusely for your labors into delivering this judgment, listening to all of us, and giving our nation this judgment so that we may move forward. Thank you, and God bless you.
It may please the court. It is not true that I asked the Attorney General Emeritus to talk on our behalf. Next time you should talk to me. Let me similarly, on behalf of the lawyers for the counsel for the first and second petitioner, thank the court, and it has been a journey, worthwhile journey, sitting through these proceedings, and we thank the court for your patience and for the delivery of this judgment within the time stipulated. We thank you.
Madam President, members of the court, I wish to request just a couple of minutes for the chairperson of the Law Society of Kenya to make a few remarks in appreciation of the work that the court and Kenyans have done on this exercise, if you allow. Thank you. I call upon Mr. Eric Theuri to come and make his remarks. It is also his birthday. I would have sung happy birthday for him.
My Lord, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, the President of the Supreme Court, the Deputy
Chief Justice and all the justices of the Supreme Court, I think it would only be fair that I make my remarks after counsel for the respondents, Senior Fred Ngatia, makes his remarks to the court.
Madam Chief Justice, thank you very much. It's so kind for the President to acknowledge that age goes before youth. Mine is to thank the court, to thank my learned friends for the effort we all expended. We thank this court for clarifying certain issues, and we look forward to a less corrosive 2027. Thank you very much.
Madam Chief Justice, Madam Deputy Chief Justice, it's so nice to have two madams at the same time, and members of the court. Since there are only men talking, I decided that I should become a woman and talk. It's becoming too much of a male affair in here. But on behalf of I think we were the third petitioner, I wish to thank you, and you've clarified the Regulation 87.4, which I was feeling very passionately about, that it was unconstitutional from what I've heard. But thank you very much for the time you spent, and we do apologize if at times we looked like hooligans. I mean, you have said we behaved well, but we didn't behave as well as we should have. But thank you very much for your time and for delivering this judgment.
Madam Chief Justice, Madam Deputy Chief Justice, members of the court, I, on behalf of Attorney General, take this opportunity to thank you most sincerely for a great job done and for the courage to clearly define the limits of the law, which will help us empower IBC on the way forward, and hope that this might be the last of the petitions after elections once we carry out a proper elections based on your guidelines. Thank you.
The Chief Justice and the justices of the Supreme Court, on a light note, my members would be extremely worried if we take the submissions of Senior Counsel Orengo that this should be the end on account of fees. But, my lady, the Chief Justice, on behalf of the Law Society and all the members of the society, we wish to, first of all, take this opportunity to thank the court in the manner in which it has conducted these proceedings, extremely efficient, especially in light of the really short and strict timelines that you've had. But the management of the proceedings, the manner in which the court adopted a somewhat inquisitorial nature to the conduct of these proceedings is something that as a society we have noted, and we wish to commend the court, and we do hope that the other courts, as they determine any petitions, election petitions that would go before them, will similarly adopt such inquisitorial attitude, so that we try and really enrich the process that these proceedings intend to achieve. Secondly, I wish to also thank the council, all the advocates who have appeared before you. They have demonstrated extremely high standards of decorum and courtesy, and have also demonstrated a flair for persuasion of the court, including the use of PowerPoints, and of course the now famous Pinky Pinky Ponky mimic. But all that really, I'm sure, has demonstrated, especially to the the younger members of the society how to conduct themselves before the court and how to really prepare a persuasive brief. And we thank all the advocates who appeared before this court for the good work that they have done. And of course, as a society, we feel extremely proud that they have been able to raise the profile of the advocates in this country a notch higher from their presentation. So, my lady and my lord, it's not lost to us that at the end of these proceedings, and once we are able to get your judgment after 21 days, that it is democracy and the Kenyan people who are the winners. The decision today, in a way, validates the choices that were made by the Kenyan people on the 8th of August, and they also help to build confidence in the institutions that manage the elections and the court. We recognize that no country is born as a democracy, and that it is a process, and the process of challenging an election, as has happened before this court, is part of the processes of building confidence within the electoral system. And we thank all the petitioners for choosing to challenge the results before this court. But at the end of the day, Kenya stands tall as a beacon of democracy, and we're very grateful that we've had this opportunity also as a law society to appear before the court and to give an amicus brief which the court has had time to consider. So we thank you and we wish you a good day. I know it has been a long 14 days, but you can rest, and we'll be looking forward to the decision that you deliver within 21 days. Thank you so much, my lady and justices of the Supreme Court.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have been asked by the President of our court to react to your submissions, and in so doing, I am obliged to say that we are truly humbled by the statements that you have just made. More humbled because those statements come from both sides of the divide. And thank you for appreciating what we have to do within a very short while. Thank you for appreciating that it wasn't our wish that we were doing what we were doing. We were doing the wish of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the laws of the Republic, the facts of the cases that you placed before us, and the evidence in rebuttal. We know that, and we have repeatedly said this, the President and I, whenever we have had time to talk to you in other fora, that we are incomplete without this side of the bar. We are incomplete without the advocates. We thank you. We will get opportunity to do that in the main judgment, in the reasoned judgment. But we really appreciate your industry. We were impressed by the submissions you took. And we were impressed, and we said this the last 3 days, I'll tell you something about that in a minute, by how deeply you believed in your clients' cases. That we think is a mark of an extremely grown legal profession, and we ask that you do not bring the bar down. You keep taking it up. In any contest of whatever nature, and even if we say there are no winners and losers, and even if we say that the winners are the Constitution and the people of Kenya, the truth is that some 6 million Kenyans will not be happy today. But that's the nature of the work we do. What we hope, and we hope you can advise your clients and our brothers and sisters that are the Kenyan people, that that is what was expected. One side had to win. One side had to be in total or a great extent of compliance with the Constitution and electoral law than the other side. That's how we saw it. We thank you very much. We, the 7 of us, have not slept since we parted company on Friday. I think it is showing on our faces. And we thank you that you appreciate that we work under difficult circumstances, especially because of time. As ground rules, we agreed when we left you here on Friday that we would not pick any of your calls. A lot of you called us, but we just couldn't pick your calls. And I hope you understand that we couldn't. We saw that you were trying to call us, but we just could not pick the calls. I hope you understand. And now if you allow us, again, on behalf of these 7 men and women, thank you very much for appreciating what we have to do. Thank you for giving us the honor to serve this country in these capacities. And let's hope that we can continue to grow our democracy this way. And thank you very much for everything you also do for the country. And now you allow us to go home and sleep.
Thank you. The court is adjourned.
Jambo la kwanza ni kwamba ushindi wetu umedhihirishwa. Tulimpatia Deputy President William Samoei Gachagua. Koti imekubaliana sisi ya kwamba uchaguzi wetu ulikuwa uchaguzi wa haki. Na sasa jeri tunawaambia mwanze kujitayarisha.
Lakini si
we wanted a comprehensive audit of not only the technology that was applied by the Electoral Commission, but we wanted a proper audit. Although time was of the essence, but I think we had sufficient time to carry out a proper audit, including looking at the issue of the foreign intruders, the Venezuelans, which you'd notice the court avoided in making any comment about those intrusions and invasions of the system, that technology, the IT structure. That again, the court did not refer to, but probably in the judgment, the recent judgment that is coming on the 21st, they will say something about it. And therefore, I want to end by saying the rule of law should prevail. The court normally has the last word in making a statement as to what is the law of the land. But as citizens who are sovereign, we're entitled to disagree, and disagree very vehemently. I think the court, in conducting the proceedings during the hearing, I think they were patient. They listened to us. It is only the outcome that we do not agree with. Finally, I think our clients, the two petitioners, Raila Amolo Odinga and Martha Karua, may be addressing another press conference, but we are happy to talk to you on this issue.
Case, but we saw them talking about forgeries while this chase. Did that surprise you?
No, I mean forgeries. When the DCI, the Director of Criminal Investigations, what we put before the court, a lot of it was from an agency of government. I didn't see them talking about similar incidents in matters concerning the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. That's why I was saying it was a little ideological. They were looking for things on which to destroy our case, but similarly not taking sufficient time to look at what happened on the other side. And that will be another story for another day.
Would you admit you might not have been well prepared for this case?
We were very well prepared. I think compared to 2017, we were a lot more well prepared.
What would be the 2 or 3 points of mistake that you say the court might have made mistake on that?
In 50% plus 1, I think they were ideological. We are using the baseline of total registered voters in the land as against those who turned out to vote. If you read any legal material on what should be a turnout, including the Black's Law Dictionary, turnout is normally based on registered members in a country as against those who turn out to vote. So there are so many other examples we can take up.
Are you still confident on all the key 8 issues you lost?
The issues that the court formulated, but we're quite happy to live with it and talk about it another time. Philip, you would want to say something?
Just on the idea that we lost on all 8-9 points, we find it incredible that that could be the holding of the court. In more than several of those cases, we had overwhelming evidence. As my senior counsel, Mr. Orengo says, the servers were not opened. The involvement of the Venezuelans for a full month before, half a month before the elections and up to the 16th of August was not explained. No, it wasn't even offered. We perhaps are a little distressed on the over-reliance of a registrar's report that has no input from us. That report was completely silent on the failure to open the servers. The servers, repeat, the servers have all the answers. The exact role, we provided evidence that the Venezuelans were downloading documents, creating documents and generating documents. None of that was touched. But as my colleague says, we hope they'll address all this in the final judgment. As somebody has said, it's incredible that we could lose on all points and they could win on all points. But as Senior has explained, it's probably the ideological aspect of this judgment.
Are you still confident that 21st it will be a different way?
No. They have tied their hands. They can't get out of it. They have given their final decision. It's now a question of them finding the reasons for those findings and justifying them. It's not always easy. I think they have some time to do it.
The other thing that I found a little bit disturbing is the presentation of the Form 34A by somebody I really respect as an advocate, Julie Soweto. It was described as hot hair, but you could see when that evidence was being adduced before the court, how engaged even the justices were. So I found it rather odd for them to describe it as hot air. I think that's why I'm saying this is ideological, because they would have said on the evidence presented, we find there was more weight as to the evidence which was adduced by the other side. But to say that it was hot air and it was a document coming from the Electoral Commission, I found it very, very disturbing.
If I may explain a little further on that point made by Julie Soweto in the petition, that gentleman, Camargo's name was not supposed to be on Form 34A. If at all he was involved in this election, he was involved on the technology side. So to find it anywhere near a Form 34A raised more questions than answers. There was silence. And of course, on the issue of the famous 34A that Julie was describing, it was found to have been signed by the agents of UDA and UDM on the 7th, which is before the elections. No mention was made of that. So many things, many questions, perhaps more questions than answers, but it is the decision of the court. They have to live with it just as we have. Is that all? Thank you. Você.
On the judgment that has been rendered by the Supreme Court judges.
Law, which is always look for the evidence, compare the evidence against the allegation. You come up with something like staging and dumping is something we had in America. How is it done? Ours is a manual process. That is how the judges went about it. It's the correct way of going about it. Yes.
You've been here in 2013, 2017, and now in 2020. In your appreciation of the processes by the Supreme Court, what would you say?
I think this is the best. I wasn't here just 2017 one time. I was here 2017 two times. So this is the fourth petition. And I think in this one, the judges have set the bar very, very, very high. Yes, very, very high.
From the onset, when you were preparing for this case, what did it take to achieve such a verdict?
A lot of hard work, This is the first time 8 petitions were filed. 2013 we had 2, and the third one about varied votes. 2017 we had, I think, only 2. Yes, there were 2. And then the third one was just 1. This was a very unique position. Well calculated by 8 petitioners, of course, as you heard the judges saying, 1 primary and the others were proxy. Yes.
Now, lastly, lessons learned, especially in how our elections are conducted in this country. What would you say is the biggest or the two biggest lessons from the verdict rendered this afternoon?
One is that lawyers should not over-exaggerate or over-dramatize things. Lawyers should be what they are supposed to be rather more calculating, do not have theories that you cannot back up with evidence. And the second theory, the next lesson is politicians ought to now accept defeat. You don't need to come to Supreme Court. Yes, accept the defeat. Yes, accept the victory, accept defeat.
And lastly, very lastly, I've said lastly again, let me say one more lastly, like the politicians do anyway. Yeah. Lessons in terms of conduct of elections. We saw 2017, there were certain improvements that were made that necessitated the conduct of this election. Is there one fundamental or two lessons that you can say from this verdict, the preparation for the next election, a lesson or two has been learned?
Well, problem is IBC is people-driven, and these people are Kenyans. And unfortunately, politicians appear to now be getting some to now go and say, look, we are objecting to the result and that type of thing. It's unfortunate. It's a new trend. But they did a good job.
IBC tried a lot. They were very prepared. They had a portal which was open to all Kenyans. And that portal was a game changer because any Kenyan could actually be able to view the results as they were streaming in. If you will notice, nobody complained until the last day. Nobody complained. So I think Kenyans should engage more with the process. IBC did well, can continue improving their processes. But what was done this time around was very good. So the opening of the server was negated by the fact that there was a portal that had all the forms. And I think that's where every stakeholder should have engaged more keenly and then ensure you have agents everywhere. Because you cannot come to complain and expect the court to be your agent or expect IBC to be your agents. You must have your agents in every polling center and every polling station who tell you that this is what has happened when the counting is happening. And these are the numbers that have been verified from the ground. So the correct information comes from the polling station. As the counting is happening, let the agent witness every process of the electoral process that is being undertaken by IEBC.
While here, you also wear a political hat where here as the Secretary General of the UDA party, whose presidential candidate has been declared and affirmed as winner. What is your reaction as the Secretary General of the party?
We are very excited. We thank God for the win. We thank the Kenyans for voting peacefully, for holding during the whole process in a very peaceful fashion. And we thank all the Kenyans who participated in the electoral process, because it is through voting that we are able to see who is the true leader and who is the more endorsed leader by the Kenyans. So I would say Kenyans have done their part, the court has done its part. Now it's time to allow the president-elect to take up the mantle and lead Kenya to the next level. So we congratulate Dr. William Samoei Ruto.
Thank you very much.
Taking up the reins of this nation. Sasa kazi ianze.
Asante Professor Kimuda.
Tumemaliza.
But huwezi kosa kitu cha kusema as a veteran of these processes.
Ni kusema tu kwamba kila mtu amekuja kotini alisema kwamba yeye atakubali koti imesema nini. Kwa hivyo koti imeamua na tunatarajia kwamba kila mtu atafanya jinsi alisema hapo awali, na pia kuzungumza na Wakenya wenzetu, tuelezane kwamba mambo ya uchaguzi sasa imeisha, na kwa hivyo sasa tuende kazi.
Do you feel vindicated? Niguo mwathani ni atwenda muno, nenda Kenya muno ni undu wa gutuhe mutongoria mweru William Samoei Ruto, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, na tumuhoere nigetha maundu maria mothe erire Kenyans akorwo akihota guthondeka thirikari iria kuhe Kenyans maundu maria mothe metereire, irekaniro iria ciothe akoretwo nacio through the charters na through engagements at the county
forums.
Gitugi kia kiama kia nyikoretwo kiri gitaru gia gatagati. Ukwira ati gitaru gia gatagati makirio ria kirarugamire na inyue githurano-ini giki turarikiri.
Gitaru gia gatagati ni ndamugeithia ni tumwendete muno. Ni thank you muno ni undu wa kuafam thirikari ya Kenya Kwanza na kuafam presidency ya His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto hamwe na munini wake His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. Ngai amurathime ni undu wa guikia kura cia kuafam presidency na ni turauga ati Kenya gitaru gia gatagati gitigakorwo gi the same again. Maundu ni mekwagira na mikakati ria yothe muretirwo ni thirikari ya Kenya Kwanza riu ni gukayukite thirikari ni rafagwo na mugukorwo mwe very central to the you will be very core to the government that is coming, that has come in. Thank you very much. Please 2 minutes.
Just move.
Please move.
Please move. Just
And having observed this process, what would you make of it, especially in terms of growth of our democracy as a nation?
I can assure you we've made a stride in the growth of our democracy. Where we were in 2013, 2017 is not where we are today. And this is solely attributable to IBC. That even after recommendations are made by the Supreme Court, they are moving in straight away to implement, as a result of which we are now getting better and better codes, regulations and laws, which they are using to ensure that we deliver credible, fair and believable elections. So this is very good for IBC. In fact, it was almost obvious, it was apparent that IBC had actually conducted this election so well that it would not be voted by anybody. So we almost expected this outcome from the Supreme Court. To the President-elect, first and foremost, we say congratulations to William Samoei Ruto, and after that, we have to assure him of a majority in the House such that he is able to execute his mandate as president, especially through the House of Parliament, in the Senate and in the National Assembly. We assure him we will be there for him, and as the majority party, we will be able to deliver whatever it is he comes to us and he asks us to do for him and deliver for him. Of course, with the usual checks and balances, we must always be ready to check the executive for the sake of the people of Kenya.
Asante sana. Let me now hand over to Yvonne in studio. Yvonne, those are the reactions.
wa matua tamaya ukoragwo uri uriku kuri bururi
ibwega ndi muno kambari ni kitharaka kira kiri kimeru nkiuga kana matua matwane kari koti mumbe ima mega muno na imavata muno ki antu betu ba Kenya emde mantu mamo onde turari namo maratureterete makurekia president elect akugwetwa bwege ikoti na ndira antu ba Kenya bonde ituthini na mbere kuruta wirere yagiri wirere vatari muno ira twagiri kuruta no twende Kenya ni onene kekira muntu na tuge congratulations ke William Samoei Ruto no ntokana endiogu itio twamuthurie tariki 9 lakini kotira nene ikuga kana nwe president wetu
kuri mundu utataukirwo ni watho ni gwatuika ati he andu monekana na mahitia makurehe uira wa maheni igoti-ini ni makinya mariku magirire gutacukira
burako thiaga ino ikoti-ini tukuri na mantu mara magwetu mantu manene muno lakini tukiundo kuga butumire court proceedings buninteni antu bobavithange bobaninteni kotini kaire bobutiruthawa muno lakini kwe bagweto bero banintire mantu morongwaga ku present documents imwe ciari forgery na chingitari mbega na chinge ciari chorongo lakini mamuende metha wa makerukire ikotini tore tudu kwa muntu nathia kathitangwa no to mantu amu ikathio bole kathi
kia mwisho muhesh umuthi ni muthenya wanyu wa gukungwira no githurano-ini kwina andu milioni 6,800 matanarugama na mwena wanyu guthie na mbere nigetha tuiguithanie miahu ino yothe yoteti tugwika atia
twibera ituje milioni 6 baringira Raila Odinga milioni 7 baringira William Samoei Ruto lakini chiache chiathirie chonthe chiacha ni nthiru ndi ugu tugwatanire tunyitane turi a Kenya withiro mantu mamonthe tukware turereta nthiguru imwe tuga gutie mtu munene nkerugia Kenya twinthe twagiri gutwika gintu kimwe na wire imwe ya William Samoei Ruto anyo muma tariki 13 ni kuninta Kenya bonthe amwe bonthe milioni 6 milioni 7 tutwike ni gintu kimwe tugwatanire twire Kenya yetu mbere.
Thank you muno mheshimiwa ni gwitikira kwaria na Inooro TV wacoka tharakani thio magaithie
kumageithie muno
asante
sana asante wapia watu wangu wa mbere
yo naona tuko live. Niambie tukitoka. Joan.
Tumefurahia sana. Yes. Hello, 1 2. Vicky.
Kuongea is not very low. Pole pole pale pole pole. MCS nataka kuwatambulisha. Tuko na mheshimiwa Gerbesen kutoka tuko na mheshimiwa Ezra kutoka kule Korgul, pigie makofi Ezra. Tuko na mheshimiwa Chemala ndio huyu kutoka kule, pigie makofi. Tuko na mheshimiwa Sara Mutol kutoka kule Kosirai, pigie makofi. Tuko na mheshimiwa Gikoska yuko Bunoni Sirai Ezekiel Moko, pigie makofi. Mheshimiwa Kogo kutoka Sangalo Kebuloni. MCS wengine na hapa mheshimiwa Samuge amefika hapa, nitampatia nafasi wakati tunangoja the fifth president. Mheshimiwa Sita utate ani MCA mwingine, tuko na mheshimiwa Tarbi hapo, yeye ni coordinator wa chama. Tuko na Yomen former MCA wa Sangalo Kibuloni, pigie makofi. Haya, utazungumza. Haya, tumpatie mheshimiwa pia, mheshimiwa Sylvia Muge atusalimie. Karibu mheshimiwa. Tuko na Kibe hapa kutoka Kapangani huko Kipchichir. Asante.
Basi watu wana mtambo. Wana mtambo tusali ndani na wewe. Kiwa pepa wenye tu ile vitu kusema mpigeni wa bariki.
Kuti inalale no William wewe DJ run to weka hiyo
Thengio muno na ngweciria no arikia kuona uria maundu maikaire guku county-ini ya Murang'a, na haha turi hoikaine ta bunge na niho stage ya ngari cia ukui cio ikaine ta taxi ikoragwo. No ngirora thutha wakwa twina aikaria guku town-ini ya Murang'a ario nao mena gikeno, na ngwenda twambe twaranirie no mwe kwa mwe twimwe kwa Inoro. Ritwa riaku no twire uraigua atia?
Ni njitagwo Bernard Kuria wa Mwangi kuma Mathia constituency,
na ndina gikeno kinene muno uguo deputy president riu niwe president wa gatano wa Kenya atuika wa kunyitirirwo kana wa kuhitukio ni igoti itugiru na gikeno gitu ni ati riu twina president na uria andu amwe marerigiriria ati ni gukorwo na statement ya constitutional crisis riu thaici ni gutheru na ni ati ni tukuhota guthie na mbere na ta bururi na tuhote kurora maundu maingi makoni ukuria ni njui rari bara nene ona andu amwe no ri ungi ni njui no marageretie no kiria kuri ni atiriri andu othe magetikira hindi ciothe ni kuri mucindani na ni kuri mucindwo koguo twitikire nigetha tuhote kuingira wira tuhingura economy itu thaici kwina mathina maingi muno na uria twi ni ati no tuhotire gucenjia maundu na gucenjia bururi kuhitukira thirikari ya bottom up twambiririe mwananchi uria wi haria thi tuthie twambatite nigetha tucenjie maundu na Kenya yagire Kenya ni itu ithuothe koguo no njurie aria hi mangiciria ni ta matunywo kihoto kiao metigire kwina ihinda ringi meharirie ni undu wa 2027 ni tugakorwo na ihinda ria kuruta wira ringi.
Thengiũ muno ni woni waku twina muikari ungi wa Murang'a wambiririe na ritwa riaku.
Okay, hamwe tete kama wa mutuota na wa mbere ni gucokeria Ngai ngatho tondu nie no njugire uhotani uyu tuwa William Ruto ni wa andu a Kenya na Ngai makiria. Undu ucio ungi tutingiriganirwo gucokeria mundu gwitwo Raila Amolo wa Odinga ngatho tondu rita riri acindwo ndathire maandamano rita riri arathire igoti-ini na twina mwihoko munene muno ati wikinya hwaini tha emwe ni tukumona agicokeria a Kenya ngatho na agicokeria igoti ngatho ni undu wa itua riu maratuire. Undu ucio ungi wa bata muno ni kwira William Ruto aikarire giti na amenye gitio kira ithuĩ twamuhekia andu a Mount Kenya ni ati ni twamwirire tukarugama nake kiugi ni kwira Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta ati ainuke akenete oi undu umwe ati a Kenya ni mamwathikira tondu aturire yake 10 na ya William Ruto 10 ithuĩ gĩtĩahe mũgathe gĩtĩo asante sana
na njĩra nguhĩ hihi nĩ maũndũ marĩkũ ũngĩenda President William Ruto ageka thikũ cia mbere igana rĩmwe ũngĩũrio ta mũikari wa Murang'a?
Wa mbere ni ati ithuĩ no twende nie kana ingĩmwe kanini muno acokie bũrũri witũ harĩa warĩ bũrũri ũnyitanĩte na tũgerie kanitha tondu rĩrĩa twamona magicera na Uhuru Muigai wa Kenyatta mekĩte sati ihanaine mekĩte ta ihanaine bũrũri warĩ mũnyitanu ũcio ndabata wĩkana thikũ igana rĩmwe. Ũndũ ũcio angĩka nĩguo tũhutie ni aririkane kiria giatuma tumuhorere kura ciothe tondu twakũrĩkia gĩthurano mũkenya wothe arĩ mũhũtu amenya ukia kura twari ahotu koguo mutunia turore uharũrũke mũndũ wothe akorwo akĩhutia ndio hau. Asante sana
tutanaria na atumia ni kwenda twaranirie na muhuri wa ndarama ndaigua hurite ndarama biu
waria me moyo athikiririo ri iguru atihotuma Victor Kennedy ithuĩ nĩ gũkena tũkenete muno tona tũtiretĩkagia maũndũ ta maya. Mundu witũ ni anyũrũrĩtio muno na tũkĩrire tene muno akiragwo ni muici angamana ni ekirwo atia no anjikwo rathuro ucio muici turenda kumera atiriri uhotani uyu no wa muhotwo na muhotani ithu tutiena uru na mundu na kana atia jesi itweka rĩu akire itweka rinene muno
na ndirona wĩ mbeũ njĩthĩ hihi nĩ maũndũ marĩkũ ũngĩenda akorwo agĩka kũrũmbũiya?
Wa mbere ũndũ ũrĩa kĩratũmire niĩ ndĩmwende kana nĩ kĩrĩa gĩatũmire ndĩmũthure hakwa mwena wakwa ni gukorwo ni arauga atiriri tukwambiriria haria thi twambate haria iguru ngacoka nie ngona na mawoni makwa ngona atiriri gutiri gitongana ni ndiguconoka kuga uguo kira supportaga muthamaki ogito wa bururi ni muthamaki wa bururi abude mwita muthamaki wa bururi gutiri mundu ra supporta muthamaki wa bururi na ara madynasty na mabiria ngwanga madynasty athama tu ni twacokire kuona ni magithogaga bururi no wanjiko ni araumirire aroya haki yake na igoti ni riatu uria kwagiriiro ithu turauga ona tutie ni atia
thank you muno jetekeria riu twarie ni rugamirire atumia na njira nguhĩ rĩtwa rĩaku?
Rĩtwa rĩakwa njĩtagwo Gladys Wambui niĩ ndĩ mũikari wa gũkũ na wa mbere nĩ gũcokeria Ngai ngatho nĩ tondũ wa ũhotani ũyũ twaneo nĩ ũndũ wa William Ruto gũkindĩrwo president witũ na ngauga nĩ wega nĩ tondũ ciĩranĩro